She's got a spotless home, a close-knit, healthy family, and a marriage that's lasted more than a half-century.
61 years in December.
You might say Mrs. May England owes a great deal of her good life to Nashville's Central Church of Christ. She met her future husband in the church lobby. Love at first sight?
For me, not for him. I loved him before he ever asked me out.
After 2 years of teacher training at Freed Hardeman, May's parents felt good about her moving into the church's girls' home in downtown Nashville. It was clean and affordable, if not a little noisy.
And the Greyhound bus station was right behind it. And we didn't have air conditioning, so when it was up, you could hear them calling out the buses all night. For $10, we got 2 meals a day. We got breakfast and dinner, and then on Sunday we got breakfast and lunch. A.M. Burton and his wife used to eat there on Sunday every now and then, so it wasn't unusual for them to come in and they'd sit up at the table with the ladies that ran the place, you know.
May was never a member of Central Church. She quickly married and moved away. But like many in the Church of Christ, she's aware of what's going on with the property now.
I don't know anything about the guy that's moved in there, but they said he just moved in and was a preacher and then immediately became an elder, appointed himself as an elder, and then a lot of people just left when he did because they didn't like him, you know, and he just kind of took over and did things like he wanted to. There's no services going on at all now. And the parking lot gets quite a bit of money, and I think that he gets it, you know. And I guess I'm more for the Burton family than I am for the guy. I don't know anything about the guy.
The guy is this man, Sean Mathis. According to court documents, he began periodically attending Central Church of Christ in 2017.
Central Church of Christ has a rich history of impact.
Once associated with the church, Mathis gave this talk at Faulkner University, where he was awarded a degree.
Visionary ideals were inaugurated by men like A.M. Burton. How many of you have heard of A.M. Burton? His life insurance, his insurance building is across the street from Central Church of Christ. Well, that makes sense because he helped buy the property. Had lawyers from California draw up the deeds. I've read the deeds. They're beautiful. They're 100 years, almost 100 years old now. To see Brother Burton's signature on those documents and to read all of that and see that all of the thought that they went through to get to this point of starting the Central Church of Christ. And that church was designed with one simple mission, to make a difference in the city of Nashville downtown.
The lecture talked in detail about the church, especially its finances.
How many of you have heard of the parking lot church in Nashville? Please be honest. Nobody? Just a few? The Church of Christ at Central owns 2 parking lots and the lot that it has that the church building sits on. They're worth a lot of money. The one thing the elders did great is they kept money. So there's a lot of money to be dealt with, a lot of money to do the Lord's work.
When and how did the family become aware of the decline of Central Church of Christ?
In 2018, Andy Burton was reached out to by somebody who was more familiar with the church and the recent goings on there. And knowing that his great-grandfather had founded the church, he asked him, "Hey, are you aware of what's going on here?" This person alleged that the members had more or less been run off. He shared with Andy that the church itself had been closed and had not had hadn't had a service. That report concerned him, and he started looking into it. He made several attempts to call the church, only got recorded messages. Those messages indicated that services were still happening. Never got a call back. He went down there on a Sunday and tried to attend. There was no service. He eventually got a call from Sean Mathis, and he describes that as a kind of tense call in which Mr. Mathis was fairly defensive towards him. And from there, the family just kept researching it. They eventually hired a lawyer, the late Bill Lassiter, to just look into it more. The existence of this deed that has wording stipulating that if the building isn't used as a church anymore, it would revert to the estate of A.M. Burton. They became aware of that. And while they were just doing this research, Nashville Church of Christ sued them.
There has been ongoing litigation since, with several complicated tentacles.
NCC contends that the Burton parties have no interest in the property whatsoever, whether contingent, vested, future, or otherwise.
Under Sean Mathis's leadership, Central Church changed its name to Nashville Church of Christ and sought designation as a nonprofit corporation, which to many seemed unnecessary since churches generally don't pay property taxes. In 2021, the state denied a property tax exemption, saying use of the building was sporadic at best. The church has since racked up a sizable unpaid tax bill. The Attorney General's office also got interested in what was now Nashville Church of Christ, over how Mathis was using some of the funds from a trust. That too resulted in a lawsuit. At the most recent court date back in May, the church's lawyers argued what's called an ecclesiastical abstention, saying constitutionally, no court could delve too deeply into church business.
The court would have to define what worship is and what worship means to the members of the Nashville Church of Christ.
And even before the judge okayed more limited discovery, the Burton heirs say they found plenty of smoke.
Court records indicate that several people began receiving salaries from this organization that by themselves exceeded the total salaries and expenses this church ever paid out over a nearly 100-year history. They took out several loans in excess of $1 million, putting forth the church properties as security, and at one point assigning the rents from the parking revenue to their creditor. When you think about the recurring revenue from the parking lot, when you think about the total value of loans that were taken out, I have found nothing that shows that that was used in a manner that would be consistent with what the Nonprofit Act of Tennessee requires. It certainly wasn't spent fixing the building. The building is sitting there locked up, windows open, pigeons flying in and out all day long, and it's just hard to figure out what they could have possibly done with this money to benefit the public, as nonprofits are required to do, unless they are somehow running the world's most expensive Facebook page.
What could happen there? What would you like to see?
My friend said, Amy, you just need to look at this as a duty and a dream. My first job is to fulfill my duty as an administrator of the estate. My dream would be, even if that property has to be sold, my dream is that the selling of the property could be delayed for 12 months. If we could, on that site, invite Best in Services that are already supplying all those things, could we let that church house all those things? If the downtown homeless community in Nashville could have immediate access to a shower, a toilet, a meal, care, dental and medical, I mean, all these things are already available in Nashville. So many of our help agencies are siloed. Wouldn't it be amazing to say, we got 6 months, we got 12 months to clean up this building and let it represent what it did 100 years ago. Let's tell each other the story. Let's be reminded of what's possible when people come together with a larger goal.